The best game that I've ever played in my whole life of playing video games was Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4, that game was so damn good. Before I played Resident Evil 4, what kind of games was I playing? I was playing like Madden. I was playing Super Smash Brothers and Rainbow Six, and I was playing stuff like that. Spider-Man, yeah, I remember the Spider-Man game. But then I found Resident Evil 4, and I got that game in 2003 or 2004. That game was unlike anything I've ever played, unlike anything I had ever played at that time. It was everything about it was perfect. The music was great. It was creepy. The zombies were creepy. They were intelligent. The first time I ever heard about Resident Evil was in the 90s. My uncle played Resident Evil on the PS1, and it never really appealed to me like zombie. It just doesn't appeal to me. But when I played Resident Evil 4, the zombies were intelligent. You had some guy with a chainsaw. Resident Evil 4 was my introduction to horror movies. Even though it's not a horror film, that game got me into horror movies. And the over-the-shoulder camera angle, because like traditionally Resident Evil games are very annoying to play. Some people like them. They think, oh, they're so great. The original Resident Evil style of the constant change in the camera angles is freaking horrible. I hate it. I tried playing the remastered version of Resident Evil 1, and I tried playing Resident Evil 0. Oh my goodness. I was like, these camera angles keep changing. And they're like, well, it makes the game scarier. No, it doesn't. It just makes it annoying and makes it nauseating to play. It's not fun at all. Because you're just like, you're playing and you're looking from, from a top view, you're looking over the character, and all of a sudden you're looking at the side view of the character. All of a sudden you're looking at the left side of the character, the right side of the character, the front of the character. And it's like, where am I going? And then you have these zombies that are like, and then the gun, you have to go, the gun aiming system is like, yes, I'm 100% looking forward to the Resident Evil 4 remake. Cannot wait. That game, Resident Evil 4, it really was a super influential game. It influenced Gears of War. It influenced so many games with the over the shoulder camera perspective. That's really what made that game. It's one of the things that made that game so revolutionary. It made zombies intelligent. You didn't have to get this this limping zombie that just wasn't very interesting at all. I loved Resident Evil 4. I played Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 is my least favorite Resident Evil game. Wasn't too crazy, but it was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't I wasn't too crazy about it. And then Resident Evil 6 came out. Resident Evil 6 was a good game. A lot of people hated on it because it was too action oriented, but Resident Evil 6 was a solid game. It wasn't a scary game. There's only one part of that game that's actually scary. That's when you play Leon in the beginning, but everything in that game was great. The action was a fun game. It was just it wasn't a scary game. It was a fun game to play. Then there was Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 was most definitely a horror game. It brought the Resident Evil world back to horror. Resident Evil 7 was a creepy game. And what made it creepy was how claustrophobic everything felt. Resident Evil 7 puts you you're not in a city, you're not in a village, you're in a house in Louisiana, in the bayou, which is very creative. And I like how creative the Resident Evil designers are. Resident Evil 4 is in Spain. Resident Evil 5 is in Africa. Resident Evil 6 is in different locations. You have one area of the game where you're, I think, in Latvia or Estonia, and then you're in Beijing. So that's a lot of fun. And I love, love, love the song after you get done playing Jake and the girl, I forget her name. I love, love, love the song that comes out in the credits. It's so, so good. Um, and then, Resident Evil 7 comes out, and it's like you're in this house in Louisiana, and you get out of the house, and you're just stay in the property. You never leave the property in the game. And I really liked Resident Evil 7. My only complaint was I didn't like the zombies. The zombies they weren't scary. They were just annoying. It's just, I don't like them. Although I did like the family. I liked Jack and his wife and the psychopathic son, and those guys were fun to deal with because they were legitimately creepy, especially the father. The father was such a... Imagine you're stuck in this small house and some guy with glasses named Jake Baker is like, "Oh, I'm going to deal with you today." I mean, that's pretty horrifying. So Resident Evil 7, definitely a great game. Resident Evil 8. Oh my goodness. Resident Evil 8 was so damn good. It continued on from Resident Evil 7. You're living in Romania, which I don't know. I guess, I don't know. After experiencing what the Winters family went through in Louisiana, I guess you would go to a different country, but why Romania? They go to, I guess, for all the super fast internet. I don't know. But they go to Romania in Resident Evil 7. Again, I like how creative the designers of the game are. They go to Romania. They don't go to Russia. They don't go to Mexico. They don't go to a country that everyone's heard of. They go to Romania. And the reason why they go to Romania is because Mr. Who's the guy, the character that helps them out in Resident Evil 7? What's his name? Redfield. Chris Redfield takes them there and tells them, "Oh, you would be safe in Romania," as if that's ever been a good idea. So they go to Romania and they stay in this village, but it's so good. I mean, the game is so good. I love this game. I love it. Resident Evil 8. After Resident Evil 4, it's Resident Evil 8. I love Resident Evil 8. Everything is freaky in that game. The vampires are freaky. The freaking werewolf creatures are so intimidating. And they growl like that when they come after you. The guns are great. The story is awesome. It's just spooky. It's a spooky game. And I played that game in October, which is Halloween season. So it was like this perfect setting. Cold outside, you're playing this game inside, and there's this song that plays in the end of the game that's so good. I love that game. Resident Evil 8. I had my only issue with Resident Evil 8 is that it wasn't long enough. That's my only issue with that game. Resident Evil 8, man, there's a scene in this game where you walk into this house and the house is clean and there's nothing. I mean, it is creepy, but other than that, other than its spooky atmosphere, there's nothing remarkable about this house. There's no monster that comes after you. There's no jump scares in this, but you're always, you spend like 20 minutes walking around this house and you're always feeling as if there's a jump scare is going to happen. It doesn't happen. And then you go downstairs. It's so great. I mean, you can tell the designers of this game, they really put their mind into it. You go downstairs and you walk down this hallway. Nothing happens. Then you see this mannequin on a hospital bed. Okay, what's going on? There's this puzzle that you have to do, and you find the key and you unlock a door and you open the door and you go down this well and you see blood in the well and you're like, what's going on here? And you walk up and you open this office door and then you play this tape and it's your wife, Mia or Maya, and she says, I can't tell Ethan. I can't tell Ethan. I can't tell Ethan. Oh my God. And it's like, it's so eerie. Everything is just, this tension is building up. It's so insane. I've never experienced anything like it in a video game. And then you see it. A giant zombie baby is chasing after you, calling you Dada. Oh my God. My anxiety shot up the roof. And you can't shoot this thing because all your guns are gone. and you escape this thing. And the creepiest part is when you go into the elevator and you're pounding this elevator button, and this door is slowly closing as this baby is getting close to you. Oh my gosh. It was insane. And then you go up, back up to the house, the regular, you're in the house, and there are these dolls everywhere. Dolls everywhere, guys. It's so ridiculously insane. It's so creepy. They made it feel like a horror movie. It's a horror movie. I have to give it to the guys at Capcom. They really scared the shit out of a lot of people with that. Resident Evil 8, masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of a video game. The music, the sound design, the lycan creatures that come after you, and the way they look, and you're running away from them, they're chasing after you, and there's just the way their teeth look when they open their mouths. They made this one lycan in the game look like half wolf, half dragon. So it's like this wolf creature, but the way that the face looks at you looks exactly like those Chinese dragons. You know those Chinese dances? You want to go to Chinatown during Chinese New Year, and those dances, and the people put like this giant dragon doll on, and they dance with it, and the way that the dragon's face looks, they made it look just like that. So you see this Asian influence in the game. It's just, and then the game ends and this song plays. It's so well, it's so beautifully done. And Chris Redfield comes with with all the guns, and he's saving the day, and it's just class, man. It's top tier game. My favorite Resident Evil games. If I had to, I should do game reviews. I appreciate that, Edwin. My top Resident Evil game. This is how I would list them out. All right, Resident Evil 4, 100% S tier game, perfect, without a question. And then I would put Resident Evil 8, number 2. Now, this may disappoint people or this may frustrate people who are big fans of Resident Evil, but Resident Evil Revelations 2, number 3. Resident Evil Revelations 2, man, that game does not get enough credit. It was so well done. I loved every moment of Resident Evil Revelations 2. Resident Evil Revelations 1 was also very good, and I would put that on my number 4. So number 3, Revelations 2. Number 4, Revelations. Number 3, Revelations 2. And then I would say, actually, no. Number 4 would be Revelations 7, Resident Evil 7. And then after Resident Evil 7, I would say Revelations 1. And then after that, I would say Resident Evil 6. And then after that, Resident Evil 5. Actually, no. No. I would say Resident Evil 7. And then after that, I loved the Resident Evil 2 remake, which was excellent. Resident Evil 3 remake after that. And then I would put Resident Evil 6 and then 5 at the bottom. I have not played Resident Evil 0. I have. I bought the game years ago. I just never finished it because I hated the camera angle changes. But you have these video game snobs that come along and they're like, all these people only got into Resident Evil because of Resident Evil 4. Yeah, no shit, because it's a good game. Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, the first Resident Evil games pre-RE4, they felt so annoying to play. One day I'm going to sit down and play them, if I'm still alive, God willing. But one day I'll finish them. But like, I gotta endure through the camera angles. It's so I gotta have a laptop next to me as I'm playing the game and just watch somebody doing the game, like watch somebody doing a walkthrough, and then I'll just do what he does because I don't enjoy the game. I don't. The only reason why I got Resident Evil 1, the remake version, was because I felt like as a fan of Resident Evil, like I'm obligated to play it. That's the only reason why. I'm going to be a fan of this game, I should play the original. So I got 0 and I got 1, but I do not like those camera angles, man. Those camera angles suck. Resident Evil 4 is a superior game to its predecessors. It is. It's a superior game. It's an S-level game, S-tier game. The over-the-shoulder camera angle makes the game much more accessible, much more enjoyable. a way better experience. You don't feel nauseated when you're playing the game. Leon Kennedy has his Glock and his little submachine gun and his big ass shotgun, and that's what I want to play. I like that. Resident Evil 4 is a perfect middle ground between action and horror. And the game was super long. That's one thing I really appreciated about the Resident Evil 4 game, is that it was so long. It was so long that it came with 2 discs. Not joking, man. I got it for GameCube. It had 2 discs. And it was a masterpiece. It was an absolute masterpiece, guys. RE4 will be forever known as one of the most influential games in the history of games. It's like what Korn is to metal music. It's like what Pong is to video games. You know, it's just it's so influential. I'm probably gonna get RE4 for Xbox. I don't know if I'll be able to live stream it though. Dang it, I should live stream it though. That would be so much fun. I should get a PC. I'm stuck with this Apple garbage. I need to get a PC. I don't think I'm the only person who played RE6 who enjoyed it. RE6 was an enjoyable game. There's a game reviewer. His name is if you like video games, you'll enjoy his channel. His name is Maximilian, dude. He's got like 1 million subscribers. This guy is so good at talking. He has that perfect radio voice. And it's like that middle ground between radio voice and laid back chill dude. But his channel is called Maximilian Dude. You'll find it. It's pretty easy. And he does a lot of videos on Resident Evil. He's a big RE fan. And he did a video ranking all of the RE games. And he put RE4 at S tier. He put the RE1 remake or the RE1 remastered edition as an S tier. He put it at S tier. But he actually gave a B rating to RE6. And he said RE6, regardless of how much hate it got, it actually was an enjoyable game. And he did give it a fair review. The biggest critique of RE6 is that it's not scary. And that's true. It really isn't scary. Except I would say the only time in the game that's actually horror-ish is the beginning when you're playing Leon Kennedy and you're in the dark building. And also when you're playing Jake. I think his name is Jake. And this giant monster is chasing after you and you have to hide in a locker. That had definitely a horror element to it. But other than that, I mean, it's not a horror game. It's an action game. But it's a fun game. It's not a horror game, but it's a fun game. RE6 is a fun-ass game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And what I liked about RE6 was that it was long. It's a long game. You play Leon. You play Redfield. You play Jake. You play all these different characters. And it's a lot of fun. RE5 was a good game too, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like they took RE4 and just mixed it with Black Hawk Down. That game was heavily influenced by the Black Hawk Down movie, but nonetheless, it's a good game. RE5 was a fun game. I just wasn't. There was something about it that felt rushed. I don't know what it is. It just felt like it was a rushed game. Would I ever play Dark Souls? I don't know. I have to look into it. Of course. How can I forget the ending with the rocket? Hash Browns. I like your name, by the way. It's a funny name. RE7, RE8 feels like a slasher game. It did, yes. It felt like a slasher game. These games were scary. Let's be real here. RE is RE4, RE1, and RE2. Yes, the camera angles changes can be very annoying. I know. It's like, oh, it actually scares you. You know what's funny is that the guy who directed RE4, Okami, Mr. Okami, he said that he hated the shifting of the camera angles in the older games. He hated it, and he just loved doing the over the shoulder camera angle. And he's absolutely right. It's not scary. There's nothing scary about the camera angles changing. It's not scary at all. If that were scary, The Exorcist would have all sorts of camera angle shifts in a scene. What makes The Exorcist so scary is you got a camera just looking right at her, and you got a girl who does this. Did you see what she did? Your cunting daughter. That is horrifying. You don't need to have camera shifts every 5 seconds to scare people. That's not scary. That's nauseating.